As the president says he's playing the long game, American voters seem to be getting more worried about what those tariffs are going to mean for them specifically as they're waiting for the president to fulfill his many economic promises.
The tariffs kind of like they're on, they're off, they're on, they're off. It's hard to sort of forecast, and with a big tariff, we have to increase the prices to cover that extra cost, which means, unfortunately, the cost of the bikes goes up, and our customers are paying more for the bikes.
We've been getting hit from all angles. All of our cans either come from Canada or the aluminum being used to make the cans come from Canada. So we're going to get hit with it one way or another. We're looking at probably, at 25%, a 1 to 2 cent per can increase. If we go to 50%, it's going to double those numbers. And, there's only so much we can eat before we have to, push that off to the consumer on the shelf.
It's going to have to be a delicate dance, and we're certainly concerned about rising prices because we have to pass them along to our customers.
They aren't good for me, and who could blame them putting reciprocal tariffs on us? It's just a match, and nobody's going to win.
My lead source tonight, Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma. And Senator, it's great to have you here. You heard those voters themselves, right. A few expletives in some of those situations. Your own home state imports more than $7 billion in oil, as you know, and more than $49 million in natural gas coming from Canada. Now with the new tariffs going in place and what this is going to look like, what should they be preparing for? Is it going to be a difficult period for them over the next few months? Well,
one of the reasons why there's so much importing from Canada is because we have Cushing where we store it. So we're actually not, we're holding it as it transports onto refineries in Houston. So we're not just necessarily importing that. It is a concern to us.
It speaks to your economic development, it's people's jobs and whatnot.
Well, yes, but we're just holding it as it goes through. We're not actually passing it on to consumers. We're just holding it in storage tanks in Cushing, Oklahoma. It's across lines of, or the pipeline intersection of the world, basically is what we call it, and then it goes on. But that's beside the point. What we do understand though is there is cost that's going to be here. There's two things that's happening here. You have the reciprocal tariffs that are on other countries, especially Europe, that has been taking advantage of our economy because we allowed them to rebuild after World War II. We did that. We've never actually corrected that. And then you got national security issues that's going on between Canada and Mexico. They have illegal activities through trafficking of drugs and trafficking of humans coming across our northern and southern border. How this whole thing started was we asked them for help. You remember Trudeau, he responded by saying that you should worry about your own streets and not just try to come after us and try to have us fix their problem. The problem is the illegal activity is coming from their countries. They're openly allowing the cartels to work in their countries. What we've asked and what President Trump asked is help us. If we will partner with you, we're not asking you to do this yourself. Help us stop the illegal activities coming across our northern and southern border.
Well, I don't know about the word openly, but that is something that we heard from Trump and Canadian officials. But then we've also spoken with Canadian officials talking directly to the White House who say one day it's the fentanyl numbers, one day it's the dairy tariffs, which haven't even actually hit the mark in the USMCA agreement that Trump negotiated. One day it's the trade deficit, and Trump's pulling back without some of those things being addressed. So they're saying essentially it's mixed signals and we don't know exactly what barometer we're supposed to be hitting.
I get what they're saying, but I can tell you where we've been at. We've been laser focused on national security, and the president has been laser focused on securing our borders. Just in the last 7 days, Oklahoma has apprehended 5 pounds of fentanyl. Now, 5 pounds doesn't sound like a lot.
No, it's a lot, because obviously a little bit of fentanyl can be
2.2 pounds of fentanyl is enough to kill 500,000 people. That's just in Oklahoma alone. So this has happened to every one of our cities. If they don't want to partner with us on national security, then how else do we get their attention? Like I said, we're not asking them to do it alone. We're saying let us partner with you to go after the cartels that's getting the illegal activity across our borders.
But you're talking about just Canada. I mean, this is going across the board on a steel and aluminum, and it's about to go across the board even further come April 2nd, according to the president. He argued today that there's not inconsistency here. He said that he needed to have flexibility. But if you're a business owner, that is inconsistency and it's uncertainty. They don't know what's hitting what and when, and if the threats are real or not. I mean, what are you supposed to do if you're a business owner
the
here?
first time the president put this on, Canada came in and said, listen, we're going to put $1.3 billion worth of technology on our border. And Mexico came and said, we're going to put 10,000 Marines on our southern border and work with you on it. The president said, okay, we'll stop. We'll pause that for 30 days and see how it goes. The problem is they did put the Marines there. It has helped with the human trafficking, but the drug trafficking is still flowing in, and we're not going after the cartels. All it stopped is the flow coming across one part of the border, and now they push it someplace else. But we're saying, let's go after the bad actors. They're refusing
But if they're
to do
working
that.
with you and you still put you say Mexico is not refusing. They just sent all these cartel
They sent
leaders to the
26
United
people
States.
that we already had the intel on them and told them to go pick them up. We've been trying to get them picked up for a while. It was a big deal, but there's more that can be done. And the same thing on the northern border. What the Canadians did is they put technology there. They showed us where the illegal activity was crossing. But we're like, okay, if you know where it's crossing, then why aren't you apprehending them before they get to our border? Why are you allowing them to still come in? And then there's been this tit for tat, and the president is doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He was going to screw our borders. It's promises made and promises kept by the president.
Well, but the businesses seem confused. I mean, Wall Street,
see
we're
that.
watching. I mean, you're seeing the numbers.
Sure.
What's a business leader left to think or an investor?
It's tough right now, and I understand that. I'm a business owner. We all make decisions based on two things: the way we're raised and our life experience. Before politics, all I ever did was business. You need certainty, which is why we need, tax policy that's permanent, not that's able to fade in and out. I'm not trying to get off on that subject, but I'm just saying that we need certainty in the business world. Tariffs is a tax, and it will be passed on consumers, but it also allows us to have open markets. So if you want to have open markets and access to other markets, so let's go past Canada and let's go past Mexico and start talking about the rest of the countries we allow to come in here, that the president says we want to have reciprocal taxes on you. If you're going to or tariffs on you, if you're going to charge us 36%, we're going to charge you 36%. If you want to charge us zero, we'll charge you zero. Every one of these countries want access to the strongest and greatest economy in the world. That's the United States. We don't necessarily have to have their market, but if they're going to have access to us, we want access to their market.
What you just said is important, that a tariff is a tax and it is passed on to consumers.
Of course it is. Everybody knows that.
That is something the White House does not acknowledge.
No, that is something that the president, who is a business person, understands that completely. No one understands the economy better than this president. There hasn't been a president that understands this economy better than this president.
And I think you'd agree that in part of why he won re-election was because of his promises on the economy. There's a new CNN poll today out that says Americans are not that impressed with how he's handled it so far. It's 56% majority of the public disapproves. That's actually lower, or it's a higher disapproval than it ever was during his first term in office.
It's still higher than it ever was with Biden, though.
Well, but are we judging him just on Biden's numbers?
No, I'm just saying that if you're gonna use numbers, you're using his high number in his first 4 years where we had inflation at 1.4%.
It's worse than it ever was during his first term in terms of how they're viewing it. But
sure,
my point,
but he's got to recover from 4 years of Biden. Keep in mind, we had we were in a recession underneath Biden, but no one talked about it. Sorry, I'm sorry to say that.
They were asked how Trump is handling the economy over Biden. I mean, they were asked about the tariffs specifically, and they said they disapprove of that even by a wider margin, 61 to 39%.
President Trump will get this economy where it needs to go. He said that he was going to do what he's doing with the tariffs moving on. He said he's going to keep people from taking advantage of us. These countries have been taking advantage of us. A lot of people didn't understand tariffs because most presidents just didn't talk about it. They have been taking advantage of us, and we've been losing billions and trillions of dollars by propping up their economy while our economy is suffering. When our economy suffers, then we have to have national debt. Our national debt is climbing. The way to get that solved is we have a growth in our GDP, bring back manufacturing to the United States rather than allow these companies to go into Mexico or go into Taiwan or go into China, make their product from there, their American countries, and turn back around and sell it to us.
Okay,
well,
so
that's
you're
ridiculous.
saying essentially they need to have a little faith in the president and wait for his policies. Speaking of what's happening on the Hill today, Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Senate Democrats, came out and said they have the votes to block the House funding bill that came through from Republicans on that in terms of what that's going to look like. They're arguing because Republicans didn't work with them on this, that they're not going to pass it. what happens? Is the government going to shut down in your view?
Chuck obviously knew he had the votes to begin with because we only have 53. It takes 60 to get there. So we don't have 60.
You need 8 Democrats to vote with you.
Well, we're going to need 8 because Rand Paul's no, so that we have 52, but we don't have 53 Republicans. It's interesting to me that he said that because I was on the floor when he said that today. And I'm like, well, isn't this the same CR, the same spending levels that you voted for in September? The same spending levels that you voted for in December? So what has changed? What's changed is you have President Trump in office rather than President Biden in office. Because there's no other argument you can have here. They weren't willing to shut it down. They were okay with these numbers 2 other times, but this is in 2024. Now that Trump's in office, it's their hatred towards Trump that they're willing to shut down the government for. It's absurd. Why wouldn't they support the policies, the numbers that they voted for underneath Biden?
Do you think the government will shut down?
No, I think they cave in by Friday.